All right, at this time, we'd like to open up our Lafayette Parish Council meeting. And at this time, we'd like to ask Councilman Carlson to lead us in a prayer and Councilman Rubin to lead us in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunity to gather here. I pray that as we go through this meeting, that you would lead us and guide us in everything that we discuss and in the decisions that we make, that we lead this parish well and that we would honor you in all that we do. Father, I thank you. We welcome you here, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Carlson, and thank you, Councilman Rubin, on the pledge. All right, we welcome you to the Lafayette Parish Council meeting. As presiding officer and chair, I'd like to announce the following. This is a public hearing. To address the council on any item on this agenda, we ask that you please fill out the speaker form to submit your information to the clerk prior to the call of that particular agenda item. If that is not done, you will not be given an opportunity to speak. Staff assistance is available if needed. Items for submission to the council should be handed to Council Clerk Ms. Veronica Williams, who is seated all the way to my left. When addressing the council, state your name and title for the official record. There will be a 3-minute rule that will be in effect. No debating, confrontational statements, or profanity will be allowed. The front row to my left is for media only. Food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and I ask that you silence all cell phone, electronic devices at this time. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. All documents with reference to meetings can be found on the LCG website. And finally, the council encourages your involvement in boards and commissions. If you're interested, please call 291-8800, 291-8800 if you're interested in getting involved in a board or a particular commission. Chair announcements. Due to election day requirements, the council meetings for November and December have been on the first and third Wednesdays of each month instead of the typical first and third Tuesdays. I don't have any following chair announcements other than hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and everyone stayed safe. And God bless everyone. Council announcements at this time. Any council announcements? Okay, seeing none at this time, I'm going to move to Executive Mayor President's report. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mayor President Guillory, and also at this time, Ms. Sidra, the CEO.
Good evening. I'm sorry the Mayor President got a phone call at the very last minute. He's rushing to get down here. In the meantime, I can tell you that we have the budget to actual comparison of major parish funds that we've presented, and ask that in the event that he had another announcement he didn't make, if we could possibly circle back to him.
Yep, sure.
Thank you for the grace.
Okay. Good. All right. We now move to resolutions. Cindy, please read.
Parish Resolution 19-2020, a resolution of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application for hazard mitigation grant program funding made available by the Federal Emergency Management Agency as administered by the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness as a result of the presidential disaster declaration following Hurricane Barry in 2019.
Okay, this time we need a motion and a second to consider. Motion by Councilman Carlson and second by Councilman Gilbo. Any council discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Okay, please call the roll.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
The motion to adopt is approved. Parish Resolution 20-2020, a resolution of the Lafayette Parish Council officially designating the market at Jockey Lot in Lafayette as a recognized Louisiana festival or fair as provided for by Louisiana Revised Statute 40:4.5 and Title 51, Part 23 of the Louisiana Administrative Code.
Need a motion and a second? Motion by Councilman Tabor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Carlson. Any council discussion?
Mr. Chair, I have
Okay.
a-
Councilman Gilbo, you have the floor.
I do, and I don't know who, Mr. Tabor. Would you come up and, I just have some general questions, and not that I have a big concern with it. State your name and,
Wesley Ellison, I'm the owner of the Lafayette Jockey Lot.
You can move your mask. So it's good.
I guess my question would be, and it's just for the edification of those who are listening in, what's the reason for doing what you're doing? Why are we doing it? What's the benefit to the community?
Okay.
If you could kind of give us an overview. Now, as I understand it, the statute itself probably is what established it as a state fair or activity. And then the retail food issue, I guess, comes under the code.
Yes, sir.
So if you would, those are the issues that I'm looking at.
Okay, well, the reason we're here today is the Lafayette Jockey Lot, and like I say, we're Saturday, Sunday operation. We have a segment that's been a farmer's market for a long time. This is all basically to address the farmer's market. The way they write the statute, it says fairs and festivals, but it's basically to be deemed a farmer's market in the eyes of the local authority. That's the gold standard as the state looks at it, whether the USDA looks at it, whoever, the local authority, once they deem it a farmer's market, then it, or a fairs and festival, in this case, well, like say the farmer's market's what we're looking for, it becomes solidified. So that's the reason we're here. And like I say, there's some local ones. There's the Horse Farm has it, Red Stick in Baton Rouge has it, there's Crescent City has it. But there's two reasons that I'm asking this for today. The first one is there's a thing called a value add in the health code. And basically, it's for local people taking products, let's just say strawberries. Let's say they grow strawberries in the yard. And where you can take those strawberries, selling the strawberries is no problem. But if they put them into a jam, then the statutes are written such that, let's say bread, Evangeline bread has to go by the same statutes the seller would. But if we are deemed a farmer's market, there's a little bit of latitude, and it's beneficial for the local vendor where they can make breads or pies or these other things, take a local item and make them and sell them in a statute sense that they're not so prohibitive that they can go out and sell their wares. The bread comes to mind, the jams come to mind. Basically, we can take anything that's local, and it don't have to be local, but they take and they put their own thing, whether it's a cultural item, whether it's hot sauce, whether it's whatever. And there's a little, and the statute's written so that's a little bit more flexible versus like an Evangeline bread where they have to go through all these processes and all. There's still processes we have to go through, but it's a little bit less draconian. And the second reason is we feel like that there's a lot of stimulus out there now that once we become a fair and festival, that we'll be able to get some of these small and micro businesses. We're a small business, but basically we're a small business incubator where a lot of these small and micro businesses, they're getting their start. There may be some opportunities where there's some grants and whether it's USDA stuff and all the stimulus, we feel like that once we become locally recognized, that we'll be able to go and apply to some of these funds and hopefully get some of this money back into the community to get these guys getting business for themselves. And I can just tell you from our experience, the local interest in being a vendor, trying to make extra money, and then having people come out to the market and trying to save money in an open, safe environment has been through the roof. And that's the reason we're here today, because like I say, we're just trying to, it's not going to benefit us any, but it's the local vendor that we're trying to help give another opportunity to sell or to have an opportunity to sell their wares without so much red tape, if you will.
And again, the food items that would be sold or made available would have to meet certain standards. I mean, and I'm assuming there will be some inspections to make
100%.
Sure that they're in compliant and not just
Correct, yes, sir.
throwing things into a jar.
Yes, sir.
and
No,
so-
they have to label where they're made. They have to label, the ingredients, and they have to do all these standardized things. But it's a different thing than, like I say, I use Evangeline bread. They'll have all these manufacturing codes where a local person, they may say, hey, well, listen, they're trying to make, I don't know, rolls or something, and they come out, and like I say, it's a little bit different, but it's just a little bit more user-friendly for the local consumer to make and sell.
And who assumes liability if they're not in compliance? Is
Well,
it the
flea
vendor or is
market-
it you?
Well, the flea market obviously is where probably the liability would fall.
Yeah.
And we have GL insurance, and we have stuff to cover this.
So you're really not going to be a state fair or anything like that. You still will be a farmer's market, but you're doing it under those revised statutes that will allow you to bring the food products or items into the.
Correct, yes, sir. And like I said, the fair and festivals, we have, I don't know if any of y'all have been out to the flea market lately, but now we're trying to promote having festivals and having people. So really, we try to keep a low cost for our food and for our, no admission, and basically for these hard times, basically have an option for people to go and spend the day. But, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, there won't be any The fair and festivals is just a wording for the statute. Basically, what we're asking for, if I could ask for a farmer's market, I would, but they told me we need to ask for the fair and festivals. So, but we're doing the festivals on a probably every 6-week basis. And so basically, we're having people out there and doing things and trying to, promote local charities and such, so.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm satisfied.
Any other questions I can answer?
I'm not seeing any. No. Okay. Not
Thank
seeing
you,
any.
guys. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you. Not having any other council discussion. Ms. Williams, any comment?
We did have one speaker. It was Mr. J. Wesley Ellison, but
Okay.
he'll pass.
Okay. All right. Call for the vote, please.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5, District 1. The motion to adopt is approved.
Okay, we'll now move to ordinances for final adoption. This is a public hearing, and speaker sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. They have the 3-minute rule that does apply, and we take precaution. I'd like to thank Mr. Joseph Gordon-Wilts for cleaning the mic and everything else in between. Appreciate you, Joseph. You can come clean Mr. Gilbo's next. All right, please read, Cindy.
Parish Ordinance 74, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council providing for the issuance of not exceeding $26 million of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2020, of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, prescribing the form, fixing the details, and providing for the rights of the owners thereof, providing for the payment of the principal of and interest on such bonds, and the application of the proceeds thereof to the refunding of certain bonds of the parish, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Okay, need a motion and a second to consider? Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman A.B. Rubin with the cough. Thank you for letting me know that. Any council discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Okay, please call the roll.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
The motion to adopt is approved. Parish Ordinance 75, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council declaring the Parish of Lafayette's intention to acquire full ownership of the adjudicated property located at 105 K-Red Street within the Parish of Lafayette.
Need a motion and a second to consider? Motion by Councilman Carlson, second by Councilman Tabor. And council discussion. Councilman Gilbo, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is ask our attorney to come forth. I had a discussion with him prior to the meeting on this issue.
Okay.
And I think we might be seeing something for the first time tonight. At least I was not made aware of this in the past. And it looks like briefly what I'll say is LCG is on the front end providing the expenses and so forth to acquire, and then on the back end, through an agreement, it will go back to Scott, and they will reimburse us for any expenses. So I asked, and if you would introduce yourself, to better explain it than what I just did, but I want to clear it up so there's no confusion.
Not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Gobo. Ryan Goudlock, Assistant City Parish Attorney. And just for the record, this discussion refers to item 9 as well, which is an accompanying ordinance proposing approval of the proposed cooperative endeavor agreement between the parish and the city of Scott. The project here is for the parish to acquire this adjudicated property in the city of Scott for the use of the city of Scott. They want to, if I recall right, use it for parking for their municipal facilities. The city of Scott has been asking LCG to try to make this happen for a while. The reason Scott is not able to do it themselves directly is because this property's tax delinquency dates to a period before the time when Scott itself levied ad valorem property taxes on immovables. The parish, however, did. So this property's been adjudicated to the parish for a long time, upwards of 10 years. The arrangement called for by the CEA is, as Mr. Gilbo described, for the parish to acquire ownership of the property in similar fashion to what the parish has done a couple of times recently for its own purposes, but in this circumstance to acquire that ownership and then essentially upon completion of that process to turn and transfer the property to the city of Scott. In exchange, the consideration for that transfer being the city of Scott's agreement to obviously take liability on it, to keep it maintained, and also to reimburse the parish's legal expenses, and notice, mailing, advertisement expenses in the acquisition process. That's the broad strokes.
Good. Thank you, Ronnie.
Yes, sir.
I think it dates back to the time when Scott was a village.
I believe it does.
Yes.
That's in the legal description, yes, sir.
Right. Okay, thanks. I appreciate the clarification.
Any problem?
The question I have is, why couldn't Scott do all of this on their own?
Scott, the property was not adjudicated. When it went to tax sale, back when it was adjudicated,
All right?
Scott was not one of the governments that was owed taxes. So at that time, under the revision of Title 47 then, the property gets adjudicated to whomever is owed the taxes. Thus, the municipality was not one of those bodies.
So we basically going to do all of the paperwork, and they're going to basically reimburse us for it, and we're giving them the land?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right, I don't see any other questions. Okay, Mrs. Williams, any comment?
No, no, sir.
Okay, please call the roll.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 1, District 2,
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
The motion to adopt is approved. Parish Ordinance 76, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement on behalf of the Parish of Lafayette with the City of Scott concerning acquisition of certain immovable property by the Parish of Lafayette and its transfer to the City of Scott.
Okay. Need a motion in a second?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Carlson, second by Councilman Gilbo. Not seeing any council discussion. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Okay, please call the roll.
District 5,
Yes.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
District 4.
District 4. The motion to adopt is approved.
All right. We're going to move to joint ordinances for final adoption. This is a public hearing, and speaker sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. 3-minute rule does apply. Cindy, please read.
Joint Ordinance 101, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council, adjusting the fiscal year 2021 manning tables and amending the operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by increasing the use of the City General Fund prior year fund balance in the amount of $35,646 to reinstate a Clerk 2 position within the Communications 311 section of the CAO Administration Division that was inadvertently deleted from the fiscal year 2021 budget.
Okay, need a motion in a second? Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson. Not seeing any council discussion. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Please call the roll.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5. The motion to adopt is approved. Joint Ordinance 102, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government and the City of Scott concerning the cleaning of Cooley-Ildicon Lateral 8.
Okay, need a motion in a second? Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman Carlson. Not seeing any council discussion. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Please call the roll.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5, District 1. The motion to adopt is approved. Joint Ordinance 103, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council adjusting the manning tables and amending the fiscal year 2021 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by adding one maintenance worker to the Lafayette Science Museum Division of the Community Development Department.
Okay, need a motion and a second to consider. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson. Council discussion. Mr. Gilbo, you have the floor.
Just a quick question, Sidra. I'm assuming this is a position that was filled and then there was a layoff, so we're going to go to a rehire list where those individuals have an opportunity to come back?
Yes, that is exactly correct. It was discussed during the budget process that we would put this particular position back in the budget, and just with everything going on, it didn't make it in at that time. So putting it back in the budget now, we will go back to that rehire list.
Okay, so you will go back to the rehire and they'll have an opportunity to accept or deny? Okay,
Yes,
good, thanks.
absolutely.
Okey dokey. All right. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, please call the roll.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? District 1? District 2?
Yes.
The motion to adopt is approved.
All right, we'll now move to an appeal announcement. This is a public hearing, and blue sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. 3-minute rule does apply. Cindy, please read.
Appeal of Parish Planning Commission Action La Musique Subdivision, PC 2020-0059.
Okay, this time I'd like to recognize Ms. Mary, our director. Go ahead, state your name for the title and give us a spiel.
Good evening, guys. Mary Slyman, Director of Development and Planning. So tonight's appeal is for the Parish Planning Commission, case PC 2020-59. The applicant, Cody DeVille, has requested preliminary plat approval to subdivide 12.12 acres into 40 lots off of East Musique Road. You can see here where the property is located. East Musique is where the turn is entering the subdivision. To the south, you see Hector Conley, and just to kind of give you another idea of where you are, I-49 is on the west, on the left side of the screen, out of the screen, but on the left side. So the first site plan that was originally submitted to our office for consideration was this one here. And after further discussions with our Traffic, Roads, and Bridges Department, the developer agreed to make some changes to the original site plan. These included improvements to the intersection at East Musique Road to change it from a hard curve to a T intersection. In addition, the developer was also going to put the cul-de-sac at the edge of the property to allow for future connection to Stanley Road through the adjacent lot if the need ever arose. So this is what was presented to the Planning Commission because it was very much done at the last minute. So you can see the hand drawings, the red, where they did the T intersection improvements, and then the, I'll call it a cloud, on the right side. This is what it looks like cleaned up. So again, you can see the T intersection, and then the cul-de-sac goes all the way to the back property line. And then if the need ever arose, they can connect to Stanley through that adjacent lot on the rear. At the Planning Commission meeting, there were several adjacent property owners who spoke against the single exit to the subdivision. Most commented on how unsafe that hard turn was on East Musique and the additional traffic from the new neighbors in this in La Musique subdivision. As a side note, there were no property owners that spoke at our meeting. In fact, I don't think there were any in attendance. So the Stanley Road people for the 300 feet to the right of the subdivision were not in attendance at that meeting, or if they were, they chose not to speak. The Parish Planning Commission voted to accept the preliminary plat with the T intersection improvements, but they also required that the developer connect to Stanley Road at the back of the subdivision. The applicant is appealing that decision based on two reasons. One is that when they came to the Planning Commission, there were no waivers that were being requested. They were accepting of all conditions, plat revisions, comments, and suggestions as required by LCG. And secondly, the added expense with the improvements at the intersection of East Musique and the subdivision, along with the connection to Stanley, would potentially render the project not feasible financially. You have any questions of me?
Councilman Gilbo, you have the floor.
Mary, I want to make sure I understood. There are no waivers being requested.
Correct.
At all. The developer, the engineering, I mean, all of them have accepted the T-turn and everything else is, okay. The problem I'm having is, and I could not see it on the map, is Stanley Road and the connectivity that is being requested. Can you help me see that on this map?
I will defer to Jimmy. You want
Jimmy? Yeah,
And he can give you.
yeah. Jimmy, if you would come up and introduce yourself. I don't see the map, so try to help. Look, Jimmy, come to this.
You want me to go to the first line, Jimmy?
And I have a pointer here if y'all,
Look, this one does too.
Well,
you have
I don't
one
have it on
too.
my screen. Is
Yeah,
what
look, I got red. Okay.
okay.
Do I need to just
Okay.
turn mine off?
Yeah, you probably need
to
to
the right.
turn
If I
around.
don't have it.
Hey, my name is,
Go to the other one.
My name is Jimmy Ricks. I'm representing the owner and developer as the engineer for the development. Yes, ma'am. Like Mary said, we met with traffic, the traffic division before we went to the public hearing, and this intersection with the strong 90-degree curve is not ideal, and adding this street into it would require some significant improvement in this intersection. So meeting with traffic requires some road widening, some subsurface drainage to improve the safety at this intersection. So the developer agreed to incur those costs to improve the safety for the 800 to 1,200 vehicles per day here. With the concession that, we would terminate the project here. And we understand the connectivity. Personally, I always advocate for the connectivity as a part of development. In this case, this connection would be made here. So this would add 200 feet plus 400 feet of additional paving, a cost of about $200,000 with no benefit to the developer. When I say no benefit, I mean no return on that investment. So adding this $200,000 is something that was considered, kind of had somewhat budgeted for, but the addition here, we estimate about $60,000 in construction added plus sacrifice of a lot was about a $100,000 loss. So it just seemed both things couldn't absorb. In an ideal world, we would definitely want the safety improvement. We would also want the connectivity. If we had to pick one or the other, I personally would choose the safety improvement for the larger mass of people. But with the action of the Planning Commission to require this additional 600 feet extended, I feel we get neither one. If it were approved as presented by the ADRC, this intersection could be approved with private dollars that would benefit a lot more people.
All right, Jimmy, so
Sir.
you're in agreement with the T intersection?
Absolutely, yes.
And I'm assuming there will be a signal, either signal light or stop signs?
Stop control.
Yeah.
Stop
okay.
control, but
All
the
right.
pavement widening and
Now, let's go
signage
to
and
the other one. The other,
Okay. Here.
we're
Yes.
not talking about a stub out. We're talking about a road that will lead to Stanley Road.
That is correct. That is
we-
what the added
Does
condition
this owner
was.
own that property? That's,
This line is not shown on this plat, but there is an extension of this here that is part of the ownership. It's outside of what is the proposed platted area. So the owner does own this. This lot, however, is unplatted. So should it ever come through the Planning Commission or through the Planning's office to become platted, it would have to go through this process to connect.
it would seem to me, instead of putting that circle there, is make that as a future stub out into that property would make more sense.
Well,
Also, the broken line that's going across that vacant property, what does that represent?
That's a flood zone.
That's a flood
I
zone.
believe. A
All
flood
right.
zone, I believe, yeah.
So the potential would be that we'd have to either, a bridge, or is it that low, or?
No,
No?
the flood zone is just the delineation between
Okay.
areas that are platted. And I believe that's what it is. I can't quite read it, just the
Yeah, I can't see
the
it from here.
signal. If I remember right, that's what it,
Yeah. Okay, I'm good for now.
okay.
Mary,
If,
as long as I've been on the council and seen a lot of these come and go, is it the planning commission, is it also a concern of one in and only one out, therefore a fire or something happens, ambulances, and these people are trapped? Is that why you want the connectivity?
I'm going to default to Warren on that one.
And the reason I say that is I've seen where some developers wanted just one in and one out, and we always required to try to have another way of connectivity. Therefore, if something ever did happen, that those residents are not trapped in there with only one way. Is that a part of the reasoning that you would like to see the connectivity? And if he does that, doesn't he have to kill that bottom lot?
So Warren Abity, Director of Traffic Roads and Bridges. So typically, when we fight for connectivity, usually it's for a couple different reasons. Yeah, it's emergency response, it's cheaper for, bus service, for garbage service. It provides a way in and out if a road would happen to flood. But, in this particular instance, a lot of, traffic development regulations is about being as reasonable as possible. And so there was no doubt there was a safety issue with the curve that the developer agreed up front that, yeah, we'll fix it. And so that is a significant improvement to the transportation system as a whole. That could be argued he may not be 100% of the beneficiary of that. And so we were happy in this case with him extending the cul-de-sac all the way to the property line that would allow the future connection to Stanley Road whenever that property would be developed. And so from a reasonable standpoint, it's a pretty small development. It's only 40 lots. We understand that that would be a significant financial burden to go ahead and connect to Stanley. And so at that time, when we agreed in principle on the requirements, we were good with what was shown. But there's no doubt in a world where, in a perfect world, we want as much connectivity as possible, absolutely.
Right. Can he just do a stub out? Why are we requiring him to build the whole road?
So what we agreed to is a stub out before we went to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission added an additional requirement above what staff required to connect it to Stanley Road the rest of the way.
Okay, so from an in-house standpoint, you would be okay with just the stub out and not requiring him to actually build the road? That's
Yes.
coming from your Planning Commission that required that?
Yes.
Or wanted more on top of that?
That's right.
Where are you at with that?
Where I'm at is, professionally, we would love connectivity and the safer intersection. We would like both. In this case, we agreed to do one at an expense to the private developer, using private dollars to make a safety improvement for the benefit of significant more people. If the Planning Commission added this requirement, that would add another $200,000 to the project, and it just can't absorb that. So there would be neither.
Yeah.
So if we had to pick one or the other, I'm with picking the safety improvement at the intersection.
I got you, but my question is,
Okay?
what can you, and I understand you're using private dollars to improve intersection because if this is a parish issue, we don't have a whole lot of money to do any kind of improvements, and we don't have any money to do that. So you're doing I appreciate the fact that you want to do that, and I understand. Well, I guess where I'm at with it is I wouldn't want you or require you to build a whole road all the way through myself. I think that's whoever buys the next lot or that y'all own the lot,
So
plus you're in a flood zone right there, so I can't really see what other development you would put. So for me to understand it, this appeal, a yes vote would do what? Would grant the appeal that he would not have to build the road, but he would still be required to do the stub out?
Correct. You're appealing the Stanley Road connection. So the appeal, a vote in favor of granting the appeal would not require him to do the road at the back, but still require him to do the intersection improvements.
He would have to do the drawing on the front,
He would do exactly what you see right here.
but not the stub out. There would be no stub out. He'd get to keep his bottom lot.
This isn't a stub out, is it?
So
There's no stub out.
well, there technically is the equivalent of a stub out where the cul-de-sac is.
Well, like if you just went straight across?
Yeah, so you can make that connection in the future to Stanley Road with the way it's shown right there.
Okay, I guess I saw like a little strip at the bottom that's what's throwing me off. Where's Stanley Road come into play here?
Stanley Road,
this is Stanley Road.
Uh-huh.
This is the unplatted lot.
Okay.
This
Where's your stub out?
right here.
So that road would have to come there and come down to connect to,
It would have to
Have to,
curve,
yeah.
it would have to
It
curve
would have
down
to
to
curve.
Stanley, yes.
uh-huh,
You can kind of see the two black lines and
right. Okay.
So by extending, the original plan had the cul-de-sac here, by extending to the easterly property line, we do not prohibit future connectivity. So we allow for future connectivity when this plat would ever come through to become a legal lot of record. Okay, so I agree with that the cul-de-sac should shift all the way to the east, because then there's still the availability to connect to Stanley Road at some point in the future.
You okay with doing the stub out right there?
Absolutely, yes.
You just don't want the connectivity of the road?
We
Like,
don't
you don't
want the
wanna build the road.
requirement to add 600 feet of pavement, 600 feet of pavement in addition to the added cost of the intersection improvement.
Okay.
So we're okay with shifting the road to the easterly boundary. That's what we would have to do in any development to plan for future connectivity here.
Okay. All right. Councilman Gilbo.
Warren, first, I want to compliment you on a word that you used, and it just tickled me pink to hear you say reasonability. I appreciate that. Long overdue that we started using that term, and I appreciate that. I think we do need to be reasonable with a lot of these requests, and I think in this case it is reasonable. Unless I'm missing something, there's at least 3 stub outs on that plat. There's one at the north, one at the south, and there's one over to the east. So future plans, anywhere there's a development, north, south, or east, you will have that connectivity. And that's not unusual. Sometimes, you try for maybe 2 or 3, cut-throughs and so forth. But in this case, with all the vacant property, I just don't think it's reasonable. And thanks for the word. Thanks.
Okay. I'm not seeing, Mr. Tabor, you got any comments? No? Okay. I need a motion and a second.
So move.
Motion is for what? To consider the appeal or to deny the appeal? What's your motion?
Grant the appeal.
Well, I'm coming to you guys. Okay, there's public comment. I'm coming to you, I
We
promise.
need a motion.
Okay. So motion by Councilman Gilbo to grant the appeal. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Carlson. We just had council discussion, unless there's any others. Okay, none. Ms. Williams, public comment.
Yes, sir, we do have comments. We did have one citizen who did not wish to speak, who signed in to support the appeal. We do have 4 speakers, the first of which is Carolyn Hosking, followed by, I don't know if Jimmy Ricks, he's already said, I don't know if he spoke already, but if not, Emery Begnaud. First up, Carolyn Hosking. Yeah, you
This one
can
right
wait
here,
for
ma'am.
that one. Wait for, no, that one hasn't been cleaned. Has it been cleaned?
No.
No, okay.
Oh, well, they both spoke at both of them, so
Right, yes, sir.
I got you.
Hi, good evening. I'm really new at this and
No,
very
you're
nervous.
good, you're good, no problem.
Okay, I live on East Music, moved there a year and a half.
Just
so
state your
this-
name and title for
Oh,
the.
I'm sorry, my name is Carolyn Hosking.
Okay.
And I'm a property owner. So this development will be right behind my property. And I was at the meeting on the 26th of October for the first planning development, and it was not going to pass unless they agreed to make another exit and entrance, because East Music is a dead-end street. So there's only one way in and out for our street, and we have to come to that curve, which is very narrow, very dangerous. But not only that curve, but the one that goes down Music to QVC, whatever, it's very narrow, there's a bridge. So to add maybe 80 to 100 vehicles twice a day coming in and out of there once they get, 40 houses in there, it's just, and you're right, trying to get trash, trying to get emergency vehicles in and out in that one curve to even get to the street that's been there with houses for 30 and 40 and 50 years is not reasonable. They agreed to put in that back. That's how they got it passed from the Planning Commission. And they were also, still had to make the T. They agreed to those 2 things. They should be held responsible to do those 2 things, whether it's $200,000 or what. They agreed to it because they knew that's how they got it passed in the first place. One way in and one way out, to add another 80 to 100 cars in there twice a day is not enough. It's just not enough, and it's not right or fair to all the nice, quiet, wonderful neighborhood, old, established neighborhoods that have been there
to try to deal with traffic one way in and one way out. We have no other option. That's just the way it is. And that neighborhood's been there for a long time, and the neighborhood behind it's been there for 20, 30 years. So to add this much traffic, to add this much disruption for one way in and out on a dangerous, narrow curve didn't make sense. That's why they didn't get it passed. They agreed to this, and we think that, we know we can't stop the houses from being built, and that's not what we're trying to do. But they're trying to put a lot of traffic in there on a little road that's going to affect a lot of people and everybody in the neighborhood, and they agreed to get it passed to put that other access in. And that's what we would like them to continue to do.
Okay. If they don't connect to Standard Road, how do you get out of there?
There's only one way. I come out East Music, there's a stop sign. It's very dangerous, curve left and right. And then you come out left, take that curve, and then go to Coup de Seville and out to Hector Conley.
Okay.
That's the only way that I can get in and out. It's the only way an ambulance would be able to get in and out. That's the only way. And if you've got, 40 new houses there with an average of at least one car, mostly two, coming in and out of there on a daily basis, how is anybody going to get in and out of those streets? It just doesn't make sense not to have, and, reasonable. Let's make sense. You've got to give people another way out.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Emery Begnaud, and he will be followed by Sarah Begnaud.
My name is Emery Begnaud. This is all going on without, somebody overlooked that he does not own the property on the curve. My mother has the property right across the street, and the way my grandfather bought the land in 1943, and the road was not divided halfway to the other end of the road. It was catacornered. So that point where that curve belongs to my mother. So he's going to be crossing onto our property. So that's what we have.
Warren or Mary, has that ever been brought up to you guys or the developer? Are you aware of what he's saying? And
I have a plat of it. I can show you.
Well, she's next.
You'd have to, I guess Mary or Jimmy or somebody that, are we aware of that?
After the meeting, she was here and she didn't have time to talk about this, but now we are.
Can you pull up you're talking about the intersection that he's supposed to improve?
No, the one he wants to come out on, make the T intersection.
Make the T intersection, right, the part that you come in on, right?
Right.
Oh, she wants to pull up the presentation, because I did put the mic on.
So what you're saying is he's going to have to go through property that you own to make that improvement at that intersection?
Exactly.
Okay.
Or go through Stanley Road.
Show us which property is yours.
Okay. See where the curve is, with the highlight, the darkened stuff?
Look, press that top button.
See, I live here.
Okay.
This is my mother's property. Now, see, you go from this road here and this road to here. My mother owns that piece right there. Because in 1943, it was taken from this side of the road and where it goes to the other side of the road. In other words, it wasn't halfway down the road. It was like from one side to the other side. So,
Was this not identified when when the developer bought the property to develop?
It was there when he bought it.
yes. It's been there since 1943.
No, I get you, sir. I'm just trying to figure out what.
Jimmy says they have a deed showing that they have that frontage.
He doesn't
And it-
have, this is.
Ma'am, you're gonna
Give it here.
get hold on.
It would become a civil issue at that point.
When you said there's a deed, what you mean? Jimmy, come on up and clarify this.
When I say I have a deed, the licensed surveyor referenced the deed of plat, what's recorded at the courthouse. This property's had several transactions recorded, and there was a plat from 1985 from, I believe, Craig Spikes that showed this, like, as it's recorded in the courthouse.
So in 1985, Craig Spikes recorded it as a deed?
Well, the deed of the property, it was sold again in maybe 2003 and again in 2006. But the property in question has frontage at the curve. There was a couple of variations. You can see the kind of the pointed curve there where radial portion was taken in one of the reference plats.
Were you aware, Mr. Begno, of the sale or in 2000?
It was never sold. I can assure you that right now. That was never sold.
So, look, I understand what he's saying from 1943. We go back 50 years researching the boundary. The surveyor went out and spent 4 or 5 days locating rods that correspond to what's finded with recorded plats. And he prepares that and puts a stamp by it as time spent in the field, not pulled from aerials or LiDAR or anything like that. This is surveyor with boots on the ground locating these items.
So when they surveyed this, why did they put stakes showing that it went from one side of the road to the other side of the road to make a triangle on that part there? Why did they put them stakes?
Go ahead, you can
answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
When the surveyor finds an iron rod, he places a stake to flag it. When it comes back to the site, what these stakes represent are not known to someone driving by, but it does indicate he may have found an iron rod, which all along the north side, the south side, everywhere he finds. So when we go back to it, we can locate it quickly.
It's right in the middle of the driveway.
That could be a legal description. It could be a witness post.
There it is.
Okay.
Regardless, if it's a boundary issue, that has to be addressed with what the property is described as legally, and how that's transferred would be taken between attorneys, settled with attorneys, and I believe our development would have to comply with that.
Right. What he's saying is they can't move forward without the project and make sure all of the corners and land is all identified. So therefore, I hear what you're saying. I think what needs to happen is after this meeting, I think you and the developer and the surveyor at the courthouse, before it can come off the ground, that all is going to be clarified and pinpointed before they can do any type of development. They're not going to be allowed to just take land from you. If they actually are doing on your land, then that's when the attorneys and the developer have to get with you and your family to say what we're going to do about it, you know?
And that's exactly right. And going back to 1600, the purpose of public hearing was for this exact reason, where you're dealing with multiple property owners. This gives him a chance to contest what he sees.
Right.
And obviously, legally, somebody that doesn't own the land can't plat it.
Right.
So that has to be determined, court agreement, whatever is decided. But that's irrelevant to the appeal of condition number 18 that was added by the planning commission, in my opinion.
But us getting together after
Thank
the
you, Jim.
meeting, he's claiming part of it, his ownership, and I'm claiming my ownership, so.
And naturally, that's going to have to be disputed if this project were to be moving forward, not between the parish council, that's going to be
Have a
between.
record of this?
What's that?
Doesn't the parish have a record of who owns the land or doesn't?
It's all at the courthouse, absolutely.
That's where this comes from.
Right. It's changed since then. So the courthouse has a new register as of 2003. The land has changed.
This was done 2 years ago.
When?
2 years ago.
Okay. Like I said, I can't make that decision up here.
I'm not saying.
But Mr. Begno, I would think that the best way to handle it is to make sure you get with the courthouse and you get with the developer and you show your case, they double check your case, and at any point, is there a mess up, they're gonna have to make it right. Nobody can just start developing without checking the plat and verifying what's what, you know? And if it becomes a hiccup, then the project can't get off the ground.
And to that, we're going to have to give land to be able to improve this corner and everything else. If they improve the road and everything else, we're going to have to, if there's not wide enough, we'll have to give more land, which we gave 10, 15 years ago, we gave 10 feet of our land to have this road redone because dirt trucks were running on it.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure about all that.
I'm telling you.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
The final speaker, Mr. Chair, is Sarah Begnaud.
My name's Sarah Bagnall. I live at 321 East Music Road. The plat here does not show that he's got a common area that would go, it would take away a portion of that land, but it would open up to Stanley Road. What we're worried about is there is no way that a school bus could turn around in the cul-de-sacs or be able to go in, pick up kids, and come back out. We're looking at 80 to 120 cars. You can figure. The thing is, it's just not a safety deal. One way in, if there's a fire at the beginning and it goes from, these houses are so close together, one goes to the next and to the next, you can't get emergency vehicles in because there's only one way in and one way out. We're not fighting the subdivision. We have no problems with the subdivision. We have a problem with the one way in and one way out. And with the problem that he does not own the corner as it has been registered at the courthouse on the East Music Road. And we can research it. I'm a paralegal. I'll research it for you. But if you pass this tonight, it's wrong, because it has not been done the way it is supposed to be done. The plat at the Planning Commission was proven wrong because the person that platted the property did not plat it as done. Two of the pieces of property actually had 20 feet more property than what the plat shows. So the plat was wrong. There's also a question about dirt that had been dumped on this, excuse me a minute. Dirt that had been dumped on the property. This hasn't been addressed at all. He brought stuff in. He acknowledged that at the council, at the Planning Commission. We have no testing on the ground. There's no reports to show that the ground is safe to have anything done. You're going to let people come in on this piece of property that has not been tested and build homes that could cause problems later on. It was contaminated dirt that was taken from another area and dumped there. It's proven. He admitted that they had brought stuff in. Why isn't this being addressed at this meeting? There's so many things wrong with this subdivision going on that it's really a travesty to think that it could pass where so many lives could be in jeopardy, not only ours, but people living there with only one way in, one way out. No buses can turn. We had a bus driver at the meeting the last time that said there is no way possible a bus could turn around in that subdivision. It needs to have two ways in and two ways out. You know, and then it needs to be addressed with the contaminated dirt. Where's the testing? If y'all approve this and then no testing is done. So there's just a lot in jeopardy here.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Warren. Naturally, in your division, was studies done for emergency vehicles? Was the roads all configured and developed to where trucks, garbage trucks, school buses, emergency vehicles?
So the cul-de-sac, our current cul-de-sac design can definitely accommodate a fire truck, can accommodate a garbage truck. I am nervous about saying that it can accommodate a school bus driver because I believe those are longer. I'm not 100% sure if a
Fire truck is pretty long.
Yeah, I'm nervous to say yes without going back and making sure. It's definitely a fire truck.
And in regards to the dirt and everything else, I guess the public, I want to make sure they understand, if we grant the appeal, as far as for the dirt and the contamination and is it safe to build, all of the drainage analysis, drainage studies, there is a lot of stuff that has to go into place. He's just not going to get whatever permission we give tonight and all of a sudden it's free ground for him to just start hauling dirt and start doing things,
There's
right?
a
Because
lot of-
I can feel the fear and the anxiety of, if we just pass this, all of a sudden, he's got free lanyard to do whatever he wants to do on the property, and he's not going to be held accountable. That's just not true. I mean, he's going to have to meet every requirement and meet every one of you guys' inspection, right?
Yes, that's right. There's a lot of regulatory compliance he'll have to go through in order to do what he proposes to do.
And should you find out that this land is currently not platted right, or it is improper, Mr. Begno's property and that, naturally, that would have to be decided in a civil manner in regards to the developer and the landowner and the courthouse and the whole.
Well, I would think that if the plat as he proposed turned out to be wrong, that he would have to resubmit. I'm assuming go through the process again. I'll have to defer.
Yeah.
But obviously, he can't record a plat that is wrong. But
Right.
somebody's gonna have to figure out what's right, and it sounds like that's a legal issue to figure out, obviously, there's a disagreement between the developer and the.
Right, because if Mr.
adjacent
Begno has a
landowners.
plat from 2 years ago that
Yeah.
says this, and then the developer has one of this, then somebody's got to.
Somebody's gotta figure that out.
Somebody's got to sit at the table and
Yeah.
figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Gilbo.
Mr. Chair, I'll be real brief because you really touched on what I wanted to say. And again, there are 23 conditions that must be met. The greater majority must be met prior to the even breaking ground, from, be it the T-type issue on the land, or
drainage.
contamination, drainage, all of that stuff must be rectified and approved by LCG before they can even turn dirt on that property. So us approving it tonight is only saying you can start, but if any of these conditions are not met, and there's 23 of them, then the project does not go forward. Okay? That's my comments.
Councilman Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Warren, real quick, I believe you answered it earlier. You and I spoke earlier in the week about this, just because I wanted to familiarize myself with it. But just to make sure I understand how dangerous that hard 90-degree turn is on Music right now. Is it your opinion that removing that hard 90-degree turn and putting a T-stop there is going to significantly improve safety, not just for the residents in this neighborhood, but anyone traveling along Music?
Anybody traversing the intersection,
Okay.
yes, there's no doubt.
Do you have is there a standard number that's used? I know we kind of talked about it in other scenarios, on an estimated number of cars based on a number of houses. I think you said there's 40 houses.
Yeah.
What's the standard?
And so we go by peak hour trips, and typically every house is one peak hour trip.
Okay.
And so the peak hour is typically, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, depending on somewhere in that range. And so we would expect 40 additional peak hour trips. And so that's less than a car a minute
Okay.
additional.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Gilbo to grant the appeal. And again, they would do the front intersection, making sure that the land's all legit, and they would have to stub out in 2 other areas for future connectivity. A no vote would deny the appeal and would require them to build full connectivity to Stanley Road. Okay, so the motion by Councilman Gilbo is to grant the appeal. Who second that? Is there a second to grant?
Mr. Carlson.
Carlson grant that, okay. All right, call the vote from the council on the motion to grant the appeal.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
The motion to grant the appeal is approved.
Okay, we'll now move to announcements of vacancies on boards and commissions. Cindy, please read.
A vacancy will exist on the Lafayette Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as of January 7, 2021. This is a 5-year term. A vacancy exists on the Lafayette Waterworks District South Board as of December 1st, 2020. This is a 1-year term. Applicants must be district residents. Individuals wishing to submit a resume for the above volunteer vacancies must be a registered voter and a resident of Lafayette Parish. Yearly ethics training for all appointees is required as is financial disclosure under certain circumstances. Resumes are to be forwarded to Veronica L. Williams, Clerk of the Council, P.O. Box 4017-C, Lafayette, Louisiana 70502, or email to bclafayette@lafayettela.gov no later than noon Tuesday, December 15, 2020, with appointments to be made at the January 5, 2021 regular meeting of the Lafayette Parish Council. Resume submissions are public record.
Okay, Thank you so much. We'll move to appointments by council members, mayor, president, and/or any other direct appointing authority. Cindy, please read.
Kevin Knockan, District 2, appointed Jonathan J. Bernard to the Lafayette Recreation Advisory Commission for a 4-year term effective November 1st, 2020.
All right. Moving to introductory ordinances, ask for motion and second to consider from the council to introduce items 17 through 21 in global. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson. Cindy, please read.
Parish Ordinance 77, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 capital and operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by transferring funding between various accounts within the Adult Correctional Center Fund for outstanding mandated invoices and amending the fiscal year 2021 capital budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by reallocating a capital project not carried forward. Parish Ordinance 78, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 2021 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government to adjust the court reporter salaries for the Lafayette Parish share in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 13:961. Parish Ordinance 79, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application with the State of Louisiana Office of Community Development for the local Government Assistance Program and/or Community Water Enrichment Fund for the Lafayette Parish Waterworks District South. Parish Ordinance 80, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application with the State of Louisiana Office of Community Development for the Local Government Assistance Program and/or Community Water Enrichment Fund for the Milton Water System. Parish Ordinance 81, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council confirming the final form and execution of the bond purchase agreement in connection with the issuance of sale of blank dollars, general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2020 of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Okay. Any comments from the public on introductory ordinances?
No, sir.
All right. Not seeing any council discussion. Please call the roll.
District 5,
Yes.
District 1, District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
The motion to introduce is approved.
Okay, now we're going to move to joint introductory ordinances. Need a motion and a second to consider items 23 through 30 in global. Motion by Councilman A.B. Rubin, second by Councilman Tabor. Cindy, please read.
Joint Ordinance 104, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government to sell at public auction surplus vehicles, equipment, and other miscellaneous movable property which are no longer needed for public purposes as per the attached list auction. Joint Ordinance 105, 2020. A joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government to sell at public internet auction surplus miscellaneous movable property which are no longer needed for public purposes as per the attached list internet auction. Joint Ordinance 106, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council recognizing and ratifying the declaration and certification of a public emergency as stated in emergency ordinance, Joint Ordinance 53, 2020, and an ordinance, Joint Ordinance 54, 2020, for Lafayette Parish regarding COVID-19, recognizing and ratifying the powers granted to the Lafayette Mayor President to execute any and all contracts necessary, incidental, convenient, or desirable to address this public emergency and recognizing and ratifying any emergency appropriations for this purpose. Joint Ordinance 107, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council ratifying and the declaration of state and local disaster and/or emergency for Lafayette Parish regarding Hurricane Marco and Hurricane Laura, issued by Joshua S. Guillory, Lafayette Mayor President, on August 23, 2020, recognizing and ratifying the powers granted to the Lafayette Mayor President to execute any and all contracts necessary, incidental, convenient, or desirable to address this public emergency, and recognizing and ratifying any emergency appropriations for this purpose. Joint Ordinance 108, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council ratifying the declaration of state of local disaster and/or emergency for Lafayette Parish regarding the Hurricane Delta issued by Joshua S. Guillory, Lafayette Mayor President, on October 7, 2020, recognizing and ratifying the powers granted to the Lafayette Mayor President to execute any and all contracts necessary, incidental, convenient, or desirable to address this public emergency, and recognizing and ratifying any emergency appropriations for this purpose. Joint Ordinance 109-2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council, amending Chapter 98 of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government Code of Ordinances relative to the rules and regulations applicable to the age and license requirements for users of motorized bicycles and electric-assisted bicycles. Joint Ordinance 110-2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council, amending the fiscal year 2021 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by increasing revenues in the amount of $11,667.28 in home investment partnerships funds received from the payoff of deferred payment loans in the Housing Rehabilitation Program and appropriating funds within the Community Development Department. Joint Ordinance 111-2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council, modifying Chapter 89 of the Lafayette City Parish Code of Ordinances by providing for the new Lafayette Development Code.
Thank you, Cindy. Any public comment?
Yes, sir, we do have one speaker for intro ordinances, Andrew Abear.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It's beautiful out there, isn't it? Are there hourly employees right here, right now? Are there any hourly employees? Is the attorney paid by the hour?
I mean, is that's not related to these ordinances?
It's related to the cost of the ordinances. See, because I'm trying to figure out, you know.
But you gotta talk to a particular ordinance and
Okay.
item.
Well, let's say the ordinance on the budget. What is the cost of producing, printing, the public announcements, legal advertisements for the parish?
Okay. We can get you that information. It's just not
Okay.
gonna be right now. Just submit that in writing to Ms. Williams and we can get that to you.
Okay, I'm just wondering why you,
It's a good question. I can't answer it for you.
why
but
we're
you can
paying
answer.
twice as a parish council if you were trying to save money to have the same ordinance at the city council.
Okay.
No other speakers, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Please call the vote to introduce in global 23 through 30.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
The motion to introduce in global is approved.
All right. We'll now move to comments from the public. Ms. Williams, any public comments? Announcement?
Yes, sir, we do have one speaker, Andrew Abear.
Okay. At this time, I just want to announce this is a time to speak about topics relative to the parish of Lafayette that are not included on agenda items. No debating, confrontational statements will be allowed for efficiency and to allow everyone opportunity to speak. Questions should be submitted in writing to the clerk of the council. And if we have many waiting for tonight's meetings, you're reminded that the 3-minute rule is in effect. You got the floor, sir.
Thank you. Happy holidays. You had a joint ordinance, so, and you're not having a joint council meeting. So I presented a letter, Andy Knockhand read it, at a joint meeting for the budget, where I objected to the parish council approving the city's budget, and I objected to the city council approving the parish's budget. This was the meeting of 9/17, a special joint meeting. And Andy Knockhand read the letter. There are no records of this letter in any of the minutes of the meeting. Therefore, I respectfully request you to put these in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay? I also ask you to, and I have the location of the videotape number and the time element where I spoke. I'd like to have that in the minutes so people can go directly to it and listen to what I had to say.
Okay.
I was going to also ask you, since you have a joint ordinance and you have a parish council ordinance, how does someone speak to the joint meeting? You know, you get 3 minutes to speak as a parish council member, voter. Do you get 2.5 minutes or 1.5 minutes to speak as a joint member because you're a member of both legislative bodies? And since you only have half the legislative body meeting today for the consolidated council, you know, how do we speak to that? I'm trying to figure that logic out.
Just come and speak to any of the items that we introduced.
Okay,
You wait for your city meeting,
okay,
and perhaps you can ask them the question
okay,
with 3 minutes on their side.
okay, I got you. Well, I don't have time to do that, have some family business. What I'm interested in is trying to save the parish money, and I know there's a way to do that, and y'all all spoke about it, even Josh said it. Lafayette Parish 1. You want to get into the budget? I call on this council to call for the question to merge all the cities of Lafayette, every city in the parish. Put it on the ballot. Let's all become Lafayette Parish 1, because as you said, we all have to put it in the pot to make it work. The other thing you can do is, I filed 2 petitions already to de-annex my property and join the parish so I can help support the parish. I'd like to see you push, I don't know if it's the joint council that has to push it or the city council that has to push it, but I'd respectfully ask you to put on the ballot to merge all the cities into one Lafayette consolidated government, Lafayette Parish 1. Like y'all said, if everybody doesn't put in the pot, the city's going to go down the drains. Thank y'all. Have a happy holiday.
All right, you too.
I'm going to give this to the clerk so she can put it in the minutes.
Yep, no problem. All right, any other speakers? That's it? That's any other speakers?
No, sir, no other speakers.
Okay.
And we don't do verbatim minutes. We do a synopsis of the minutes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, we adjourn the regular parish meeting. Stay tuned for your city meeting. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait. Hold up. Sorry about that. I did have one more speaker, Kip Judice,
Oh, okay.
under comments from the public. Thank you, guys.
Too late.
We adjourned. We open the meeting back up. We do have another public speaker.
My apologies, Mr. Judice.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the Parish Council, it's my honor to stand in front of you today and tell you that on December the 5th, this Saturday, I'm on the ballot to become the next Lafayette City Marshal. I feel very confident about my chances to win that race. I want to make a commitment to you about my plan and my platform to save the parish money, specifically with incarceration of inmates who have not yet been adjudicated. So those are inmates people who are sitting in jail, not having had their day in court yet, but maybe have failed to appear in court on a misdemeanor or traffic offense. I want to have an alternative to that with community service projects to get them out of jail. Did some research, and from a nationwide standpoint, they're telling us we're spending about $14 billion in this country a year housing people with misdemeanor and traffic offenses who have not yet been found guilty of anything. So my platform is very clear with respect to that. I think there's some things that we can come to the table with from a perspective of working with the sheriff, getting those inmates into some community service projects, working with our city judges, and making sure we're doing the right thing. I also want to reduce the number of people that are not coming to court by simply text alerting them in advance of their court date to remind them of those court dates. I think that will reduce the number of no-shows, thus less people that we have to deal with in the community service realm. I think those are 2 common sense approaches. The third big issue on my platform is an open checkbook. I am 100% committed as your next city marshal to utilize the funds that we collect from fees collected in city court, the $500,000 discretionary dollars, before I come to this council and ask for any supplemental funding for our operations of our office. We collect those monies specifically to operate that office. And I think it's on the marshal to do that. And I want to let you know that we're going to be committed to doing that before we ask for any supplemental fund from the city or the parish. I think that that is a very, again, common sense way of looking at why we're getting those funds, utilizing those properly, and putting them online so the public can see where we're spending their dollars. So I can tell you that when I mentioned that to city council, one city council member asked me about the cost of open checkbook. I don't know who the vendor will be. And if I have to, we'll get a QuickBooks program, and we'll just simply post it on our website. But the public will be able to see every expenditure that we make out the marshal's office and every deposit we get. So it would be no public records request needed. And I just think that that's the way we need to start doing business in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm committed to those 3 issues on my platform. I'm a 35-year veteran of law enforcement. I'm a law and order guy. I appreciate anything y'all can do to help me get voters out on this Saturday. I'm afraid that it's going to be a little turnout, but I think we can together try to get our people to get out and vote. If I lose this election and it was a 75% turnout, I can accept that. If I lose this election with a 7% turnout, it's going to be dismal to me. It really will, for all the hard work me and my opponent put forward in the last 7 months. So certainly, I just respectfully ask that you help me educate your voters, let them know we do have an election this Saturday. I look forward to working with each one of you to continue the platform that I have put forth, and I think we can do it rather quickly. Thank you all. I hope you all have a great holiday and a great election season. Don't forget to vote Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Kip. Appreciate it. Okay, any other speakers? You sure?
I'm sure.
All
You can
right.
adjourn now. Thank you for
Like
coming
Mr.
back.
Lewis, I adjourn the meeting.